everyone, my name is Marissa and I'm going to do a tutorial today for the Potomac Bead Company. And for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this pendant that I'm calling my Wild Star Pendant. So this is what it looks like. It's got a lot going on, so looks like a star, but it's got a lot going on, so that's why I chose the name Wild Star. So for this pendant, you will need quite a few things. You will need iris duos, and for today's, I'm going to use the Labrador Full. You will need, there's two layers of iris duo, so you will need 16 in all. Now in this one, I used one color, and for this one that I'm going to make with you today, I'm also going to use one color. But you can do more than one. You can do your first round in one color and then your second round. You're really not going to see your first round of iris duos all that much. You will kind of see them, but not as much as the second round of iris duos. You will also need a Rivoli. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but you will need a 14 millimeter Rivoli, and I'm going to use the Montana color, which is a deep dark blue. On this one, I used the, I believe it was the Capri Gold color. So you will need the Rivoli, the iris duos. You will need some super duos, and for today's I'm going to use, I still had a few left on this tube that I really like this color, and it's the Opaque Blue Picasso. So I'm going to use this color for today's, and again, these are super duos. You will need some 2x3 rondelles, and I'm going to use the Potomac Bead Company rondelles, and I'm going to use the brown iris color. You will need some seed beads. You will need 11-ohs, 15-ohs, and 8-ohs. Now I'm using a bunch of colors. You don't have to do that. You can use one color of 11-ohs, but I'm going to use 3. I'm going to use the, and they're all Miyukis, I'm going to use the Crystal Champagne. I'm going to use the Antique Ivory Pearl, and I'm going to use the Picasso Montana Matte. For my 15-ohs, I'm going to use the Miyuki, also the Duracoat Galvanized Champagne. I'm sorry, these are also galvanized champagne. For my 8-ohs, I'm going to use the Montana Matte Picasso. So these will kind of match the the 11-ohs, and they'll also kind of blend in with my super duos. I'm planning on using these colors, but if they're too blendy, I might change them. But these are the supplies you're going to need: 8-ohs, 15-ohs, 11-ohs, super duos, iris duos, 2x3 rondelles, your Rivoli. Also, I'm going to use a jump ring because that is how I'm going to attach my pendant to my cording. You will need one beading needle. A size 11 beading needle will work. And you will need some thread. I'm going to use Wildfire in green 0.006. Something to cut your thread with. You can use scissors. I'm going to use the Ultra Thread Zap. Also, what you might need, and I didn't take out and put here on my desk for some reason, but here they are. My flat nose pliers. You might need your flat nose pliers. So go ahead and keep something like that. Or they don't have to be flat nose. They can be needle nose pliers. Just some pliers. Something that will help you get through these little spots here where we're using a lot of seed beads and it's going to get kind of crowded in there. But it is doable. You will be able to do it. You won't have a hard time. So go ahead and get your materials together and I will show you what to do first. Okay, so I got my needle threaded and ready to go. And the first thing we're going to work with are our iris duos, our super duos and our 15-ohs. And I'm using 2 colors of 15-ohs for this first step. You don't have to do that, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I like seed beads. So when I can incorporate more than one color, I will. So check the holes of your iris duos and make sure that they're all clear. The same thing with your super duos. So the first thing we're going to do is thread 8 iris duos with a super duo in between. And when you pick up your iris duos, make sure that you're picking them all up correctly, which would be with the puffy or rounded side up, not with the flat side up. Unless you want the flat side up, but I don't think so. So just make sure that they all look, that they're all correct. So I know I don't have them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. So you should have, and this one's clogged, 8 iris duos and 8 super duos, and they should be like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, beginning with an iris duo, ending with a super duo, so I know I'm good. So now I'm going to bring this towards the end of my thread, just leaving a little tail, just enough to tie a snug knot with, nothing super tight. So we're going to go through all of these again. And hold on to your tail and your bead, your first bead there. And then I need to finish going through all of these. Just gonna make sure that I'm still going through the same hole. All I did was circle around, and I'm going through all of these beads all over again. So this is what we have. And then once you're meeting your tail, tie a knot. Nothing super tight, just snug. And gonna tie it again. And one more time. Oops. Just don't catch any of your beads. Okay. So now I'm going to go in to my iris duo to pull that knot in my iris duo. And if you can, come out of your super duo, and you should be able to. So pull your knot into your iris duo. So this is what we should have. This funky little flower going on. Now you're coming out now. Once you went in through your iris duo, you should have gone in through a super duo. If you haven't, go ahead and do that now. And once you're coming out of your super duo, again, we're still in the same hole that we've been working with. Now you're going to hop on up to that other hole. And I am going to get rid of this tail. Okay. So I'm coming out of the upper hole of my super duo. And now what we're going to do is we're going to connect all of our super duos together, but we're going to use our 11-ohs. We're going to do 3 11-ohs and then go into our super duo, another 3 11-ohs, go into our next super duo, and so forth. So since I'm using 2 different colors, I'm going to go champagne, pearl, champagne, in through my next super duo. I'm going to do that again. Champagne, pearl, champagne, hop on up to the next super duo. One more time, I'll show you. Champagne, pearl, champagne, and again, I'm just calling them by their colors, but they are 11-oh seed beads. Next super duo. So do this all the way around. You're going to, this is all you're going to do for this step. 3 seed beads, super duo, 3 seed beads in through your super duo, and so forth. And when you finish up, I will show you what to do next. Okay, I went ahead and I added all of my 3 11-ohs in between my super duos. And then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle and sew through the 11-ohs, come out of a super duo, and I've already done some here. You're going to sew through the 11-ohs, come out of your super duo. Now, I know this step you could have done it at the same time that you did the one before this, but it puts more threads in here and you want it to be strong anyway, so I mean you can do it that way if you want, but I prefer, it worked for me doing it this way. So once you're coming out of your super duo, put on 3 more 11-ohs, and now I'm going to use my Picasso Montana color, 3 11-ohs, go through that super duo again in the opposite direction, so you're circling around. So that's going to make a little picot here. You can see it like this on top of your super duo. So sew through your 11-ohs again, come out of your super duo and pull. Add 3 of the 11-ohs that you're using for this step, which mine are the Picasso. Then circle around, go through that super duo again. If you catch your 11-ohs on the other side, perfectly fine, because you're going to go through them anyway. That'll put your little picot there on top of your super duo. Now I'm coming out of this 11-oh, I'm going to go in through my super duo here, and this will be the last one. 3 more 11-ohs of my Picasso Blue Montana, and then go through you can go ahead and go through your 11-ohs, that's not a problem because we're going to go through them anyway. Go through the super duo now. I'm gonna stay here, frame, super duo, and then when you're coming out of the super duo, go through the seed bead from the grouping that you just added of your picot. So you're coming out of the super duo, go through this 11-oh here. It's from your grouping that you just added, and then go to the top of your picot. So that's your middle bead of the 3 that you just added right now for your little picots. Now here is where we are going to connect all of these little picots together. We're going to connect them with our 15-ohs. We're still going to need our iris duos, but in a bit. So coming out of this picot, get 4 15-ohs, go through the next middle bead, or through your next, okay, one of my 15-ohs is not cooperating. Sometimes these 15-ohs sometimes some of the holes are smaller. I probably wouldn't have had that problem if I used a size 12 needle, but I didn't want to, so I'd rather just switch up my seed beads. Okay, so I already put on my 4, and I'm going to go into my next grouping here, going through that top or that middle or the picot-most seed bead. So again, I'm going to get these closer to me. 4 more 15-ohs through the next grouping, through the top bead, and my goodness, these are just wow today. It's like they know they're on camera or something. Okay, here we go. Pull, pull, and then 4 more. So you're going to do this all the way, well, all the way around, but let's because we're going to put in our Rivoli when we're almost done with this step. When we do 7 groupings, after the 7th one, that is when we will put our little Rivoli in place, and we'll go ahead and tighten this so that it will stay there in place. So 4 more. Go through the middle bead of my picot. If your beads allow you. Okay, through the picot and pull. So do this 7 times. So don't finish it. In other words, do it 7 times, and when you're ready to do your 8th, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I just put in my grouping. 7 times of the 15-ohs connecting my little picots here. And I just have one more left. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'm still going to pick up my 4 15-ohs. Go through the picot, the next one in line, which is the very first one that we're coming out of. And then don't pull super tight. Just get your Rivoli and kind of throw it in there. And then you're going to have to hold it to keep it in the center. So once you do that, and it'll look better once you tighten it. So it's going to move around until you tighten it. So this is what you have, and go ahead and go through all of these beads a couple times until it's nice and tight. You might need to do it 3 times, maybe even 4 times. It is doable. So go ahead and just go through all of this, all of these beads here, all of your 15-ohs, your groupings of 4, as well as all of your 11-ohs that are in between them. So go ahead and do that. Do that about 3, maybe 4 times, or until you think it's tight enough. And if you can still squeeze another thread in there, go ahead. I don't think you can do more than 4 though, but go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm coming out of my one of my 11-ohs here at my picots here that are in between my groupings of 15-ohs, and I reinforced all of these 15-ohs with the 11-ohs, separating them 3 times. So this is what it looks like. Now I'm back here at one of my 11-ohs, and I'm going to just follow the thread path, and I'm going to go down the next 11-oh. Then I'm going to go through, I'm going to reinforce this next part here, the super duos with the 3 11-ohs in between. I'm only going to go through that once though, but if you feel that yours is good enough, you know what, this is kind of snug. When I did this the other day, see, I'm coming out here. When I did this the other day, I noticed it was kind of loose, but I think because I hadn't tied a knot until the very end of my project, I had to go back and make my way to here, and then I tied it, and then it was snug. But you know what, this feels pretty snug the way it is. So I'm probably not going, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to come out through my super duo, because this already feels tight enough. Doesn't this grouping here of super duo with the 3 11-ohs, that feels pretty good to me. So I'm just going to come out of my super duo, and I'm going to make my way down to my iris duos. And every time you grab your piece, just kind of, if you need to kind of fix it like that. It's not gonna come undone or anything, but I just would like to hold it carefully because I don't like this part moving a whole lot. Okay, so I'm coming out of my super duo. I'm going to go in through the other hole of my super duo. And then I'm going to come out, much easier off of camera. I'm going to come out of my iris duo. And we're back at the hole that we started at the beginning. So I'm coming out of my iris duo here. I'm going to hop on over to my other hole of my iris duo. Now here we're going to add our next round, our second round of iris duos. And these will be separated by a 15-0. So it's going to be iris duo 15, no. It's going to be 15-0, iris duo 15-0. So 15-0, iris duo 15-0. Go into your next iris duo. This part, pretty easy. So it's 15-0, iris 15-0. Next iris and pull. So do that all the way around. 15-0, iris duo 15-0. Go into your next iris duo, and I'll show you what to do after this. Okay, I've already added my groupings of 15-0, iris duo 15-0 in between my already existing iris duos. You're going to come out, and I already did a couple here, but you're going to be exiting one of your iris duos after you add your grouping of 15-0, iris duo 15-0. And then when you're coming out, and you need to be coming out of one of your already existing iris duos, not the new ones, one of the ones that are already there. So you need to be coming out of the outermost hole of one of your existing iris duos, and you're going to pick up a rondelle of 15-0, let it drop, and go into your super duo. You can't see the other hole of your super duo, so it's going to be that one hole, the one that's in between of your groupings of 3. And this is an easy step. It's just sit on camera, not so much. But if you need to push the other ones down to get them out of the way, go ahead and do that. Because you need to go through the super duo only. And I just put a ton of cream on my hands, so that could be another reason why my fingers keep slipping. Let me change hands. Why my fingers keep slipping off of the needle. So here I am. I need to go through here. I'm almost tempted to go through that 11-0 and then just sew back out. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go through that. And then I'm just going to make my way out of that 11-0 that I caught. Okay. So that puts your rondelle in place. Now pick up a 15-0, another rondelle, and go through this iris duo, the next iris duo in line of your existing iris duos, and go through the iris duo only and come out on the other side of that hole and kind of help your rondelle there if it's not wanting to cooperate. Just kind of push it up with your finger and pull at the same time so it'll stay there really nice. Okay, so that put my rondelle there. Now I'm coming out of my iris duo again. I'm going to pick up a rondelle of 15-0, let it drop, 15-0. Coming out of this iris duo right here, my existing one, I'm going to go in through this super duo here. the one that's there, well, we only have one step where we added super duo, so it's the only one. So pull, and this is what you should have. This is putting all of our rondelles around just like these. Look here. So it's 15-0, let it drop, rondelle, and then go into your next iris duo of your existing ones and through the iris duo only and come out. So I'm going to do that one more time. Whoops. One more time. And it's going to be 15-0, wait, rondelle, 15-0, let it drop. Coming out of this iris duo here, right here, I'm going to go into this super duo right there and come out. And once I come out, I'm going to do 15-0, rondelle, and then I'm going to go into the next existing, my next iris duo from my first round of iris duos, the outermost hole. So that's how we put our little rondelles around our Rivoli or Rivoli. So go ahead and finish doing that, and I will show you what to do next. Okay, I added all my crystals. Now, this is what you should have. So you should be coming out of, once you put in your last crystals, go ahead and come out so until you are coming out of one of your newer groupings of iris duos through that first hole, innermost hole that we used, and then hop on over. Oh, before you do that, when you're coming out of that hole, pick up 3 15-0s on your needle, let them drop, and go through the outermost hole of that, iris duo. So you should have 3 15-0s right there. Then put 3 more 15-0s. Okay, let them drop. Go through the bottom hole of your iris duo and then sew on through the 15-0 next to your iris duo from your previous step. Don't get your thread caught. So I'm actually coming out here just to show you, and I need to sew in through that iris duo, through the 15-0, and then come out of my next iris duo like that, of one of my outermost iris duos, and pull my thread. Don't catch anything. And then again, we're going to decorate our sides of our iris duo. I put my 3 15-0s. I'm going to go in through the upper hole or outermost hole and pull. Then I'm going to pick up 3 more 15-0s, and I'm going to go in through the bottom hole of this same iris duo, and then I'm going to sew in to my 15-0, my iris duo grouping and 15-0, and out of my outermost iris duo again. So I'm coming out of my 15-0, gonna sew through my iris duo, my 15-0, and come out of my outermost iris duo. And as I'm pulling my thread, I'm just making sure that I'm not grabbing onto anything else. Okay, so I'm coming out here of my outermost iris duo, the bottom hole. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s, let them drop, and then I'm going to go into the upper hole of that same iris duo and pull. Pick up 3 more 15-0s, let them drop. I'm going to go through that bottom hole of this same iris duo again, and then I'm going to hop on over to the grouping of, let me turn it around so you can see what I'm talking about. See this grouping here of 15-0, iris duo 15-0, that's what we're sewing through to get into our next iris duo. So coming out of my iris duo, I'm going to sew through the grouping that I just showed you of 15-0. You can probably only get the 15-0 and the iris duo. Yeah. And then out of the iris duo here on the bottom. Then go through the 15-0 next to it and out of the iris duo after this 15-0, which is our newer grouping of iris duos, and this does not want to cooperate with me. Okay. I have to do it one at a time. Okay, out of the iris duo here. And again, I'm just going to decorate the outside part of my iris duo. The way I did here, here, and here, go ahead and do that all the way around, decorating the outside of your iris duos with 3 15-0s, sewing through your grouping of 15-0 iris duo 15-0 into your next iris duo, and then decorating that iris duo on the outside with 3 15-0s, and then so forth. So go ahead and finish this, and I'll show you what to do after that. Okay, so this is what you should have if you've already decorated the outside of your outer iris duos with 3 15-0s on each side. So this is what you should have. And this is actually not a bad stopping point. If you like it the way it is, you can go ahead and stop. But I want a little bit more on mine. So if you want to keep adding, go ahead and stay with me. So I'm coming out of one of my iris duos here from my first step. I'm going to go ahead and sew on over to my next one in line, but I need to go through that 15-0 that's next to it, and it is doable. It is doable, just a little bit harder on camera and with lots of lotion on your hands. So I'm going to go in through that. Okay, so I'm coming out of, I sewed back up like if I was going to decorate the outside of my iris duo the way I did with my 15-0s. I just went through this iris duo here, through the 15-0 after it, through the iris duo, my outer iris duo, the bottom hole. Then I went through the 15-0s that I put in my previous step, and I came and I went through the hole up here of my iris duo, and now I'm coming out of the first hole. I'm coming out through the, not the first hole. Well, yeah, the first hole, and then I need to sew on over down to the, see how we just added the 3 15-0s, to the middle 15-0 in line. We added 3, right? So we're going to exit the second one, or the middle one. Now here's where we're going to add a 15-0, an 8-0, and a 15-0. And coming out here, I'm going to sew through the 15-0 the middle one and the top one, or I should say the middle one and the first one. And I'm going to go through that hole of my top hole, outermost hole of my iris jewel. So go through it. If you come out of your 15-0 on the other side of your iris jewel, that's fine, because you need to go through it. You also need to go through the second one and pull and do 15-0, 8-0, 15-0. Coming out here, go through your second and your first one here in line of your 15-0s of the groupings that you added before this step, like that. And then go through the hole of the iris jewel. And then we're going to sew down again the first two 15-0s. So you're coming out of this hole, go through these first two 15-0s, and then add 15-0, 8-0, 15-0, and then on your next iris jewel, go through this second one and up the first one and pull, and then go through the hole of your iris jewel, and then go ahead and just keep doing this step all the way around, and then we'll be almost done after this step. Okay, so this is what my pendant looks like. So all I did was, when I finished adding my connecting beads here, all I did was, well, I'm going to show you here like this, because I don't know if you can see with the chain. I just added 6 more. I came out of an iris jewel. And then I just added 6 more 15-0s, and I circled around. And before I tightened it, I just added a jump ring, because once you tighten these little groupings here for your loop, your bail, or to put your jump ring through, once you tighten it, it's hard to get the jump ring in there. So before I tightened it, I added my jump ring, and then I tightened it, and then I went through all those 6 beads, those 15-0s again, about 3 times, and then all I did was tie half hitch knots. And I tied them before the 8-0s, and I brought it into the 8-0. I came out, I tied one before my my iris jewel, and I pulled it in through my iris jewel. So that's all I did. I just added those little beads here at the top to do my bail, or loop. Well, a loop really, not a bail, a loop. And that's all I did. And I attached it to a chain, just a simple chain that I had there, nothing fancy. And of course, I just added jump rings at the end, and I added my lobster claw and added a jump ring at this end. So this one, I just used a leather cord. I have this thing with leather cord necklaces right now, and I thought these colors would look really pretty on a leather cord. So I put this one on leather. So this is what I have, and you should have something similar. So this is what we got. This is the Wild Star pendant. So I hope you enjoyed making this with me, and thank you very much for watching.